What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, Season 2. Coming in there, we are... This is what I said I was going to replace the enclosed one for the not enclosed one. This one doesn't require oxygen, and the other one does. And it's not needed because they're in atmo suits anyway. Also, this one doesn't have the protection from the radiation, but you'll see in a second, it's so quick, I don't really see that that's relevant. You have to obviously have a clear shot to the sky, so I can't put any lead or anything above it. There you go, finished. That is 2 asteroids, or 2 locations uncovered. So if we go over to the star map, we'll see there is an asteroid there to the right, a new asteroid, which is where we'll be going. A tomato. Is that how I'm saying that? And then this field, which you can send miner ships to, I believe. I haven't done that yet, but I will be. Though that one's not great. I mean, it does have algae. But we've kind of moved away from that. However, if we do get a lot of algae, we can use it for oxygen and it will save us water. So, it's not terrible, but... This planet has a lot of resources. It's a geodes metal rich, so it'll have a lot of metals on it. But it's also got an aluminium and gold volcano, so we can get free metals from there as well. So that's interesting, and that is likely where we'll be going first. The rocket is built, just needs to be stocked up, and the interior sorted as well. The battery's done. There is a solar panel, but I'll wire it up, it's quicker. We have a cargo rocket as well to allow us to drop off a load of extra food to the planet without having to land, because there will be no landing pad. And again, it's the sugar rocket, so the bottom you can see there is empty currently, but it just needs the sucrose added and will be good to go. So while they continue to build up the outside, and by that I mean there is some cables going in, piping, etc. to allow this rocket to be connected to the base, we will look at doing the interior. It's a small one, so there's not really much you can do in here, nothing too fancy. All I really need is the thing that's already there, obviously. A bed, a toilet, somewhere to store a bit of food, and then breathe in oxygen and water for the toilet, of course. I use the wall toilet, so you don't need a waste. It just throws it outside. So all you need is clean water, and that'll run that no problem. And then you can see there I've just put some air tiles in to allow us to have a bit of extra floor space. That's likely where the bed's going to be. And then if there's any space left over, I will, of course, fill it with furnishings to make it pretty as possible and increase the morale. And also, I'll wallpaper everything in diamond if I can afford it, which I believe I did. I think we can. Can get a comfy bed in there, but to be honest, I'd rather not, because that takes up all of that space. I'll use the comfy bed when we get the upgraded rocket head that's got like 4 times more space than this. So a much better option, I would say. So that's what I'm cramming in as we speak. Painting up there, ornament there. The fridge is next to the toilet. Gross, but yeah, it's done. And then the bed. And I'm using the lab bed as well, just because we got it. And then at the very top, you saw there was some of them fancy frillies that you put on the ceiling, the plasterwork. Again, just to make it as nice and friendly as possible for whoever may live and or die in said rocket. You can see there the sugar has been delivered. Looks like it's full of sweets, which I suppose technically it is. So that's full on sucrose. I've put some food in the storage tank. Not loads, just enough to make sure that everybody can survive best they can. There are 2 critter transport pods there. The dark grey looking things are for critters, but... I'm going to remove those and replace them for the Trailblazer to allow the duplicant to go to the Earth, or land on the asteroid without a platform. Because of course without a platform you can't land. You have to land with a rover, which is one way, or a Trailblazer, which is also one way. The Trailblazer is for an actual living duplicant. As there's so much traffic pushing out the right hand side of the base here, I have indeed put in some gas masks for support. Obviously there isn't any now in the bottom where you go into the farms, because we don't need them because the robots are doing the work. But there is still a lot of going out there. They do need to go to the farms, obviously, for the rare occasions that the fertilisation needs doing, and various other things, really. So I just thought it's best to do so. And we already had them made, so it's not really costing us anything new. Just some oxygen, which that's pretty much where it's coming in, so it should be easier to plumb it in as well. Rocket's looking very close. So, just coming back, this area that was full of crap before I've moved out, this looks very complicated. And it took me a few tries, it's annoying, and this is temporary. So yes, I did this for a temporary reason. Now basically everything from the top of the map, all the ice and stuff that was gathered there waiting in this space, it's coming down and being sorted. So the polluted ice is going in the polluted water column. The non-polluted is going in the water column. Anything that is not a liquefiable, so an ice, is going into the base there you saw, and everything else was being dumped in that hot zone that we had previously to hopefully, and I mean hopefully, try and help cool it down, because every time the the ice turns to a liquid, it cools down the environment quite significantly in this game, whereas the actual ice itself won't do. So we do need the ice to turn into a liquid for it to work correctly. But you can see there's just a little belt loader and then an automated sweeper. I've put a door there to stop the people from getting in the way, and that little pile of ice that you can see there's actually a lot more there than you probably can tell. There is quite a bit there. 29 tons, I believe, if I wasn't mistaken when I looked at it. So that will get put in there, sent down. Again, most of it will go into the water chamber because it is effectively water. But if it's not water, it's polluted ice, it will go into the polluted chamber. Anything else will go into the hot area, and then of course anything that's not an ice will go into the base to be stored correctly. Just keeping everywhere tidy, clean. I don't know why I like to do it, but I do. I hate when the floors are cluttered. In the base it's quite important because that is ugly and it damages your I can never think of the word decor. There you go. The decor value, it damages that quite harshly, having mess. But we don't have any mess in the base because we've cleaned that up a long time ago. Plus we have like 2 storage chests on each floor, so that helps. Okay, so the rocket is ready to go. Everything is done. The Trailblazer is in place. As I said I would. Replace that. Fully charged up, filled with clean water for the toilet and oxygen for the duplicants survive in the actual shell. As soon as they're in there, obviously I take them out the Atmo suit. I'm just getting it set up now. I have made sure I have 2 pilots trained. You can see the setup is done. Fridge is full of food. Now that's not a full fridge. I've obviously dropped it down to 100 kilos. And then we want to go to the orbit because you can't go to the planet because we don't have a platform there. So you can see the heat, steam, smoke, whatever you want to call it, coming out of the various different orifices of the rocket, which is its sort of UI to say it's ready. Very shortly the actual astronauts should arrive if we haven't already set them. I've got 2 that are trained to fly the rocket, or rockets. We're only sending 1, of course. Will they come back? No. No, because the Trailblazer is for them to get down to the planet, and there's no way of them getting back once we've done that. Of course, if we were to build a rocket platform there, we could then go and fetch them, or various other things. Let's go and see. The rocket is in. The warning is that the cargo pod is not full, and that is on purpose. I didn't need to fill it. I just put a bit of extra food in there to make sure if the planet was missing food, I'd have enough. And here we go. Now you can see in the base it's already being destroyed by that jet stream, and you can see the temperature-wise it is also in there as well, which is hideous and really poor. It always does this, and I fall for it every time. So that should dissipate. On the surface, that's going to dissipate very quickly. That's just a bug glitch there where you can see I've actually removed it and it stays with the background. So you can get rid of that by using the void edit mode thing and change that background for void so it works properly like space, and it should dissipate pretty much immediately. But it will still go into base, which is annoying. So I am going to raise that whole platform to the same height as the other side. Now Abe is in the space shuttle. He took off the astronaut suit, the Atmo suit, and he's going to use that oxygen that is in there to survive all the way over to the orbit. He will then gain access to the Trailblazer and down to the new planet, and we'll take a look at what we've got. Again, for reference, if you're doing this, always send robots first, unless you have a way of looking at the planet without. because you could really send them into a bad situation where they have no food. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. Oh, and the ladders that I'm using there, by the way, I did make, although they're not a different colour, they are made out of ceramic. So that heat that the rocket causes isn't going to damage them very much at all, because there's no way they're going to heat up in that few seconds that the rocket is launching. You can see I'm planning out how many rocket platforms I want, but that's only a plan. Again, this is all going to get raised to the same height as the telescope on the left. And I am noticing now, with the base and the astronauts, I keep saying astronauts, Atmo suits, requirements and the masks and various other things, oxygen is okay, but I'd like to have a backup. And by a backup, I mean just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is replicate the same building here. I left this space for this purpose, so I'm going to use it. And then we'll pump the water along the same thing. Everything's going to be identical. Even the cooling loop's going to be extended into that room. And we'll get a bit more oxygen out of it. Technically, it's about 50%, right? Maybe slightly more. About 50% or so. And then again, 50% more hydrogen as well. There we go, and you can see some of the duplicates turning up with little gas masks on, because that has started to work now. I have locked this off. Well, actually, I didn't lock it off. It locked itself off. That's what I was trying to say. Now, I didn't want the gap to stay there because I didn't want all of the oxygen to leak into that room. As you saw, there was some in there. It did used to be a vacuum, as far as I was aware. It won't matter once they're up and running, but in the meantime, I just want to make sure it is as I like. The far side there, you can see the far right hand side, one block is stopping us from putting down an extra electrolyzer. That's that neodymium stuff though. You can't break it, there's nothing you can do about it, so this is the maximum space we have. Bit of a wonky edge there, but it doesn't matter. It adds to the prettiness of it. Very unique and rustic. And it appears that I'm having a few issues in my refinery room, where I upgraded it to 3 of them with 2 of the furnaces. The temperature's looking okay, but you can see the ethanol has blown out. So that means that it got too warm, I guess, for it to have broke out the pipe. So I need to set this room to keep a much cooler temperature. I believe it turns to a gas at about 70 degrees. So I can only assume it got up to that, but I'm not 100% sure. But no bother, we can mop up the ethanol that is all over the floor and then use a bottle emptier to drop it somewhere, and then use a pump to pick that up. I could just put the pump on the floor that we have now, but it wouldn't cover that whole floor. So I want to basically put it into a smaller area so that the pump can get it all. And then the pump can just put it back into the pipe. It sounds like a convoluted way, but once you pick it up with the mop in, you can't just put it straight back into the pipes. So, and you can see the whole process is already still set up and working. I say working, it's not working, it's there. But yeah, we had a bursted pipe that leaked, so we'll get that in. And to be honest, I do have a lot of spare in this tank here, so I'll put that in as well. The more ethanol you put in the loop, the less likely it is to break, because you're spreading the temperature changes over a much bigger area. And there you go, that will get built. Little mini pump in there, just because I could. Now I've got a bit of plastic. And then the bottle emptier, that will drop into there. The mini pump will suck it up, chuck it into the storage container. And the storage container is already set to export into the pipeline. So, and if it happens again, we could just do the same again. I'll leave that there for now, because this area where that is and the brine is just a wasted space at the minute. Okay, so Abe has arrived, and we are ready to land using the Trailblazer, of course. So you could argue crash land, but anyway. No, it's not crash land, because I think it does land controllably. It's just one way. The surface doesn't look terrible, but it could be better. Of course, as soon as we land, we've got a Atmo suit's amount of oxygen to survive. Or you would do, unless you're an idiot like I was, and I took him out of the Atmo suit and forgot to put him back in. So he's now landed on this brand new planet, and he is unable to breathe. So goal 1 is to get him to somewhere where there is oxygen, and you can see a bit. Obviously digging that area isn't the best solution, but yeah, it's pretty quick, so it's fine. Obviously I picked my fastest digger and builder out of all that was already close to the limits of being an astronaut. A couple of ladders there, you can see them shrapnel things that are there that are steaming. They are the cargo. Now I can't open them without a cargo opener, so that didn't work. But the ship itself, you can self-destruct and get the resources, so we'll get to that in a bit. Firstly, we need to keep this guy alive, so all we have to do is break that there, and immediately there will be oxygen being released into the vacuum of space. Now we don't want that, we want to keep as much oxygen as possible, so let's dig down and then try and block it off. If we cap off that area, we'll have this small section of oxygen allowed for us to survive another day, maybe. As you can see, we're down to the last sort of 20%. Before this guy is just going to insta-die. But thanks to me showing him this space, he ran over there and got his fix of oxygen. Now he just needs to build these. Now he's dumb and he builds them from the top. I want them to be built the other way around so that he gets trapped inside, so we can quickly just break them open, do the same again, put another ladder down, get him down to the floor, and this time try and get rid of the ladder so he can't climb out, although they can do 2 blocks. So we'll chuck that away and then put a block in. He's obsessed with going to where that, I mean, that is so he can breathe, which is fine, but yeah. Okay, so he's now trapped in, but we have lost a bit of the oxygen, and doing so, it's high up. Now, he can reach there, I think. He goes to this left-hand side, but this oxygen that's trapped here is not going to last very long. So, we need a solution, and the only solution I have is to dig, and try and find more. Now, looking at the map, this chamber here is a vacuum, actually. Yep, you can see. But there is some oxygen there across and then further across. So if we can dig straight down into that vacuum chamber where the planter pots are and that storage vessel, and then dig straight to the right into them 2 areas of oxygen, we should then have enough oxygen for him for the next couple of cycles. Another good way of surviving in problems like this that you create yourself, i.e. I created myself, is look for any oxalite. Under consumable ores you'll see it. It's like a greeny turquoise, there's some at the bottom. Yep. So we just need to dig down to that as well, and that will allow us to, well, it will off-gas into oxygen and keep us alive for a bit longer. So step 2 is almost complete. Step 1 being block off that top. Step 2 is to dig across here. Now we've got this chamber that's got a bit of dirty, polluted oxygen, but to be honest, that's better than nothing, right? Because it keeps them alive. And then over here, we've now opened that up as well, so we'll get that. Plus, there's water there, which is nicely placed for a water pump. So now all I need to do is try and dig down to some of that oxalite. If we can dig down to it, dig it up, and chuck it in our storage chest, it will basically off-gas in that storage chest and give us free oxygen while it sublimates. And there we go. Did soil himself halfway down the ladder. That'll off-gas into polluted oxygen, and again, that's better than carbon dioxide, so I'll accept it. Just setting this to hold the oxalite in the hopes that he'll quickly grab that and throw it into storage. Yes, just like that. And now you'll see the oxygen is off-gassing out of there into our, I say base, it's a grow room, but we can turn it into a base, no problem. Remember when you start building to put doors down and create as many rooms as possible, because you want to keep that morale up. They will have lost a lot of their morale that you had on your home planet, home asteroid, and like this guy, he's very, very well, how do I call it, trained, and he now has none of them amenities or morale boosting things that he had, so likely be very, very sad. First things first, bed, because we don't want them to sleep on the floor. I'm not a savage. And also, we found an octafern, which I've planted, but it's not going to grow in an oxygen environment. It needs to be in carbon dioxide. So I want to replant that as low down as possible, where the carbon dioxide should sort of congregate. The next thing now is food, and you can see these hexafern things. They give food. You can't grow them. You just basically harvest them, and it gives you a decent amount of calories. But that's it. So we're now going to have to pop the cork here again and grab that ASAP. If you can grab that, you can eat that, which we can certainly do by just digging. Though you do have to force him to dig everything because he just wants to clean up all the time. Or go to sleep. Either or. And there is a piece of the self-destructed ship, because you could just abandon the ship and it explodes and drops all the stuff on the planet. So this was within reach. You can hold his breath for that long. So you can see there, I've got an Atmo suit actually as a backup. There's a bit of steel and a few other bits as well. So we just need to get that grabbed and brought into the base and use it for whatever we can. Realistically, I should probably rush a platform if we can find. I think it's 400 refined metal. Can't remember. But the first thing is we need to get this into base. So with that cleared up, we have a bit more oxyfern planted. We also had some seeds that you saw on the surface, which were the mealwoods. That will give us a bit of food moving forward. And then there's the almond tree as well, which we can't grow because you need polluted water. We now need to get over here, but there is no way I'm sending a duplicant out that far. And also digging it up will just off-gas into the atmosphere anyway. There is some stuff, as you can see, these items can be salvaged, but we need to get there, which means building a ladder. So what I'm going to do is actually get the ladders in place and let him try and build as much as he physically can to get to these said items. But in the meantime, I am going to throw together a quick rocket with a couple of rovers and send the rovers over to support. Then we can look at getting a rocket platform and either rescuing him, or we need to explore this asteroid a little bit more just to make sure there's anything here that we want. I mean, there is the gold, which is nice for decoration, but it's not worth risking the heat from it and stuff. It sounds like a nightmare to me. So we'll have to wait and see. Once we've got the robots over here to do the legwork for him, we can close off the door and he won't even have to go out into the vacuum of space. I'm going to try and build this along here so that you don't have to keep walking through that water. And in fact, as you can see, I'm stopping him building the ladder. I'm going to force him to build this so that getting in and out of the base isn't quite as awkward, but also it will increase his morale boost as well, because nobody likes to be soaking wet, especially when it's freezing cold, because you are trapped on a random asteroid in the middle of space, because I didn't think it through very well at all. There is, of course, a bathroom in there now, a mess hall, and a bed you can see, and all I've done is thrown them together and separated them by doors, and the doors are left open so it doesn't slow them down, but they do count. So there is +2 from the bathroom, +1 I think from the mess hall, and +1 from the bedroom. It's still a morale boost, nevertheless. It's not as good as the planet, of course, it never will be, but it is a start. But to see how we get on with the asteroid story and the 2 rockets that will be coming to support him very, very shortly, you'll have to wait for the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments are welcome as always. Subscribe for more. Join us on Discord. Take care. Goodbye.